Janice.
Hi. Am I Janice?
Yeah.
Are you seeing me or just hearing me?
Just hearing you. Just your name is showing up right now.
Oh, okay. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing this.
All right. Yeah. Good. All right.
Should I mute myself now? Can you mute me?
I can mute you. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do that. Bye. Everyone say hi
Bye.
to Janice. Okay. I see I have a gallery view. Christine says hi, Janice. Hello from Liana. I'm going to let Liana speak. Liana, you okay to say something? Say hi to everybody. Okay. Liana can talk now.
Hello.
Hi, Liana.
Hi, how's everybody? Hope all is well.
Yeah.
In this new routine of normalcy.
That's right. Things have changed for sure.
That's for sure.
Hope everyone's
I might
drinking
get
celery
kicked out
juice.
because my whole family's on Zoom right now, all doing different meetings and classrooms. So
Exactly. That seems to be the new normal now, right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. So hopefully everyone knows how to raise their hand. So I'm just going to ask anybody if just something good, even though situation is what it is, but has something good happened to you, or has this created something good for you or your family? And I'm just wondering if somebody could chime in there. Got a few hands. Gabriel. So I'm going to let Gabriel go first. Hi, Gabriel. And Sybil. Sybil's there too. Everyone.
I wanted to let people know that I'm purging my filing cabinet.
Filing cabinet?
I'm shredding to beat the band.
Atta girl. That's great. Yeah. That's great. Myself, same thing at home. There was such a big list because I don't know if you guys know the whole scenario, but my wife works for Air Canada and she also is a nurse. So she does night shifts, she's flying. So we kind of cross each other like every so often. We're kind of at the house at the same time. A lot of projects kind of get built up and say, geez, we'd like to do this, we'd like to get that room done, and we like to do that organizing. And a lot of that's been happening in the last little while, and I'm actually happy for it too, actually. It's very good when you kind of declutter your house, declutter your mind a little bit, and kind of things focus a little better. So that's actually going quite well. So that's a very good thing on my end, actually. So I'm thankful for the situation in one way. As we say, hopefully most of you saw the Dr. Demartini video. Every situation has a good and bad side to it. Doesn't matter how bad you think it is, you're always getting polarized to the negative, but there's always a positive to everything. So in this situation, we always try to look at that, and that's one big positive that's come out for me, for sure. All right, so Richie, you should be able to talk now.
Yeah.
I can hear somebody crinkling something.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
who's this?
It's Richie.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Richie.
Oh, you didn't hear what I just said?
No, I heard some crinkling of papers, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll do it again, very quickly.
Yeah,
Just
go ahead.
saying that First of all, I said hello, and it's nice to see you, and thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is I'm busy, like everyone's busy, even though we're sequestered, but I'm sure everyone's got lots to do. But
Absolutely.
since we don't hear the media speaking about, your amazing immune system, they speak about everything else, but they seem to ignore the fact that, hey, we've got something in our own bodies that can help fight this thing.
Hmm.
So I've just taken upon a little bit of a project on my own. I've been so interested in listening to you and to listening to others and reading, and I know so much now more, and appreciate more now what the immune system is, and I never did before.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things too, is that one of the if you want to say like conceptually, like when we talk about the body, anytime the body is creating pain for you, usually your body's saying, okay, stop and pay attention to something, right? So if you look at the world right now, maybe the world, if you want to look at that metaphorically, is telling all the humans to say stop, pay attention to something, right? And so when you look at it, because there isn't really some sort of treatment or anything that's really kind of viable right now, and everyone kind of in the end they keep kind of saying, well, have a strong immune system, right? That's what they keep telling everybody. So now people are kind of looking into that and trying to figure out how to do that, which is stuff we've been talking about for since I've been here pretty much. But it's good that it's kind of getting people to reflect a bit on their health and what they eat and their lifestyle and that kind of thing as well. So it's unfortunate that we're all stuck in our houses, but I mean, for some of you that followed me on the Facebook there and stuff like that, I did a live with my son. We just went into my front yard and we had some steps going up to my house, and I just said, okay, you just make up some stuff and I'll just follow what you want to do, right? So he ran up the stairs, ran down the stairs, and he did the stairs 2 by 2, and so I did it after him, and then we did push-ups together and things like that. So just try to get active in that way. And I also have a big trampoline in the backyard, so that was another thing we did. We were back on the trampoline when the weather was good enough to get out there. We got on the trampoline, and obviously that up and down, the bouncing is really good for your lymphatic system and for your body, and moving. And moving is a big thing. If you don't have a trampoline, deep squats would be highly recommended. You guys know how to do those deep squats where you go right down really deep, right down to the bottom with your arms out in front of you to balance you out. Get a lot of leg motion and a lot of arm motion, so your lymphatic fluid moves and your body gets a good vertical up and down motion to it. That would be really helpful for everybody. So anybody else want to chime in? So Janice has her hand up again.
Marco, am I still on?
Yeah, I can still hear you, Richie.
So no, I just want to know how to mute it. I don't want to be, I should stay on. Okay, I'll stay on. It's okay.
It's okay. You might be able to do it on your phones yourself, but I think I can do it here too. So
no, it's okay. I'm on my computer, and
okay.
You're not seeing us. Is that correct? You're not seeing us.
No, I can't see anybody actually. It's all just your name with the little black square.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show everybody what I'm seeing. Let's see if this works. No. Anyway, so no, can't see me. I can't see any of you right now. So I told all the ladies to get all dolled up and everything, but I can't see anybody. So.
Dr. Marco, I would like to know how your family is faring up in Italy.
That's a good question. So my family more or less are not, none of them are any in the region of kind of concern, basically. So most of the stuff is happening in northern Italy, up around that area there, and my family's kind of in the Middle East, sort of halfway down on the right side. So I talked to my aunt, fairly regularly, and she just said, yeah, we're all just, following the rules and staying at home and, watching a lot of TV and hanging out and making meals together and that kind of thing. And they're allowed to go out for food and things like that. But their region isn't really hit by anything at all. So, hopefully it'll just pass them over and they'll be okay.
Thank God.
Yeah. Anybody else? I'm trying to get a few other people here. Let's see. So I'm going through and I'm kind of unmuting everybody and allowing everybody to talk. So Julia, Christine, Andrea, Winnie, Sharon. Janice, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I'm just trying to see, I can see people with microphones beside their names. So if Christine is there, Christine, I see you. Uh-oh. Now we're starting to feedback with somebody. Okay, somebody caught it. Good. So Sharon, are you there? I just unmuted you.
Hi, Dr. Marco. I'm here.
Hi, Sharon. How you doing?
Hi. I'm okay. We're good. Trying
Yeah.
to take care of our parents and just trying to stay healthy. I found a way to keep moving.
Good.
We live in a condo, so I know this may not be ideal, but the parking garage, the underground parking garage, is pretty secluded, well lit, and it's almost like the track at the community center. So that's a place to go.
Doing laps or?
Yeah. And I actually have a little question. I mean, I was religiously doing celery juice every day.
Yeah.
But now, because they're telling us not to get to the grocery store very often, like once a week, and although I have to go to buy groceries for parents, I'm worried about my celery supply, and I'm not doing it as often because I'm concerned about, because one bunch usually only lasts a couple of days.
Right.
So after doing it religiously for a really long time, is it going to affect me in a negative way that I'm not doing it as often?
Not quite. If you've already done it for quite a while, you probably have a pretty good reserve built up. There's actually, I just go to a store called Revitasize. I don't know if you guys know what that is right there. They actually do it themselves. So I just, put on a glove and go in and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But this store is, usually it's, obviously look on the best before date sort of thing. So they usually say it can last about 5, I think they give a 6-day best before from when they make it. And so I always just try to go into the back and reach back to try to get the most recent one. Obviously, celery juice is always best if it's done right there on the spot, obviously. So within like a day, they can kind of say, yeah, it'll start to lose some of its power. So I'll always just kind of spiral it, shake it up like this. And anytime you vortex a liquid, it kind of helps to get that sort of the activation of the water molecules, that kind of thing. So just spin it around like this quite regularly. So that's what I've been doing right now, is just going to them and getting them to do it. So it's the next best option to doing it fresh, basically. But I mean, they have a pretty good stock, and there's a few stores around Toronto area. So
do you have any that's great. Do you have any suggestions other than the celery juice and we're doing vitamins as long as we can, that anything that you would suggest on our end that we could do that could help us just keep our immune system going?
Yeah, just generally for the immune system. So if you guys can get kiwis are very good for vitamin C content, and they also have a protective effect on the lungs too a little bit, so the lung tissue. So that's a big one. So make sure you get some kiwis in there. So with all this stuff, obviously, I have to give the big disclaimer that I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not talking about treating the coronavirus. You have to get all that stuff out of the way all the time, right? Because it's always a big thing. But so anytime, just in general, going a little bit more to fruits and vegetables, decreasing kind of unproductive fats and things like that. Because anytime you have a fat in your body, even though we have good fats like avocados and things like that, fats have a tendency to decrease the ability for oxygen to get into your cells. And in cases like this, we want to really make sure that we can oxygenate very well. So like if time frames, if you have an avocado, the fat in the avocado is out of your blood within about maybe 2 hours. But if you have if you have meat or something like that, that could be in there for 6, and pork is the worst one. It could be in your blood for a day. So that extra fat kind of takes up space in your blood, and it decreases the ability for oxygen transport, because it kind of clogs up the machinery, sort of thing, to speak. So
even avocados, even the good fats, even like an actual avocado is actually something we should limit.
Just don't go overboard with them. If you're going to have fats, those are the best ones to have. So like nuts and seeds and avocados and all that stuff, that's all the best one, because they clear out of your system fairly quickly, and they're also beneficial for your membranes and everything else. So that's good. Just saying, like, trans fats and fried foods and all that stuff, that's really going to be a mess. And especially pork is the worst one, because it's in there for like almost an hour for a day. And then, meats and poultry and that stuff, that takes maybe 6 to 8 hours or something like that. So just a lot more of the fruits and vegetables, and get the colors, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And, obviously, if you can't do celery juice, you could also do cucumber juice, which tastes a little bit yucky. I don't like the flavor of cucumber juice at all, but that's your next best option other than celery for the minerals. And then spinach is really good one for mineral content as well. And so just put, spinach in your smoothies or however you want to do that kind of thing, or spinach salads, those kind of things. Those are some of the better ones. And
I'm sorry, now I'm taking up a lot of time probably from other people. I just have another question.
I'm sure they all want to hear that. They all want to hear this too. Trust me.
I'm sorry, I'm probably taking up a lot of somebody else's time. But I've fallen in love with kale and arugula and spinach. So kale, and I eat them raw, and I don't juice that stuff. I just do every day. My lunch is the same, very boring.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
I do kale and arugula and spinach. And is kale also considered to be something that's good to eat? The
Yes.
green kale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the higher mineral content ones. It was like the superfood for a while, but then everybody kind of turns around and starts making fun of it again. But yeah, it's great. So that's
Now I
that's
promise to give somebody else a turn.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Thanks. So somebody else asked, I'm looking over here, what about lemon water and fresh ginger with warm water? That's Leona. Yeah, so that's fine. Any of those combinations are good. Ginger, turmeric, all those kind of things. So when you're cooking, make sure you put turmeric on it. Anytime you're frying or baking foods, always try to add herbs to them, right? Yeah, bless you. So there might be some good.
Gesundheit.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully that went into an elbow somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, so lemon water, ginger, all that stuff is all really good. What else? I'm just kind of
Oh,
curious.
I have another question. Sorry, I just was thinking.
It's okay. I think
came
everyone
in
else is unmuted, so they could all chime
I
in if they
came in
want.
this thinking I'll have nothing to say, and then it's all in my it's like my brain's on overload.
Mhm.
So probiotics. I had a chance to buy something at the health food store before everything got locked down. But now that the stores are all closed, probiotics. When I run out, what's your suggestion how to go forward? Pharmacies are open. I'm just not sure the quality of their probiotics.
Right.
And
But
what
health
would you
food
suggest?
stores, are health food stores not open? Like Nature's Emporium and Ambrosia, they should still
They
be
still are.
open. It's an
Nature's is
essential
still open.
service.
Are they
Nature's-
considered essential services?
Yes.
I went to Nature's Emporium yesterday. It was open, so.
I would think that your health food store should still be open, but again, it depends.
They
I
are,
guess.
just the hours have changed. But
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
people are restricting their hours, but they're all open. As far as I know.
Okay, so I'll check. But if in the event that, let's say, because Mayor Tory said that now we're going really down on lockdown, and
Yeah.
let's say Healthy Planet and Ambrosia closed down.
Yeah.
Are there any suggestions for in the probiotic world what we can do?
Yeah. I don't know. Are you familiar with the product we have, Restore? Do you know about that one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Restore for health or restore for life?
Yeah, Restore. Yeah. So I kind of tell people not to worry so much about probiotics anymore for a couple of different reasons. So
Okay.
this might be a thing. I don't know if you know about this, but basically the sort of the trend of the probiotics is really big when they first kind of started discovering them. So the whole concept of the health of the intestines. So the more variety of bacteria we have in our intestines, the better it is for us. And so they were able to isolate a few ones like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium and these kind of things that they knew were good. So then they just package that up into the probiotic pill. But what happens is when you keep throwing down the same maybe 5 to 7 sort of strains of billions of the same strains, then you start shifting what we call it into a monoculture in your intestinal tract.
Yes.
And so you start having more and more of the same good ones, but it's not a variety enough. So what they're finding is the variety is really coming from your foods, right?
Oh.
So the bigger variety of the foods you can eat, the better it is. And one of my biggest things that if you can grow like sprouts or your own food, like I don't know if you guys have seen, I've shared it a few times. We have that let's see if I can show it to you over here.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess when I picked up the computer, something happened. So anytime you grow leaves inside your house, on top of the leaves, there's a special type of bacteria that are kind of, we call them, it's been called elevator biotics by Anthony William. And he says that those ones, because they're outside and they're exposed to light and wind and things like that, or, you know, inside your house or whatever, they can kind of survive the stomach acid and they get into your intestines and will actually kind of flourish and help you with a lot of gut health. So if you could do sprouts, just grow sprouts or something inside your house on your shelves and by your window, that kind of thing, that could be very beneficial.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. The shift of the probiotics the more they learned about it, because like I have a whole seminar on the gut-brain connection and just learning about the health of the guts. They're just finding that the bigger variety of the bacteria, more varieties that you have. So like the sick North American people maybe have like 10,000 different types, but you go to like some native culture in Australia that never seen like, you know, industrial food, and they got like 30 to 60 different different types of strains, right? So go ahead, Richie.
Now, besides pickles and sauerkraut, you know, the good healthy ones without vinegar in it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just eating those and not too much other types of probiotic, are you getting too much of the one kind as well, or would those have more?
No, because when it comes from a food source, there's always going to be a big variety on them, right? Because they have a lot of variety within the fibers that they have to break down and stuff like that. So anytime it's coming from a food source, it's always better than, you know, man just choosing those 6 billions and billions of the same 6 going down there. Because on the food, there's a big variety in itself when it starts to decompose it, when it starts to ferment it and that kind of thing. So they kind of make their own population. And, you know, if somebody wants to avoid like the whole dairy thing, there's coconut kefir, so, and things like that if you need to. But in the end, I just kind of know that if you just, it all kind of boils down to, I've already talked about this in my seminars, if you have good stomach acid, anything you eat will start to be broken down properly, and you're not going to get bloating and gas and indigestion and everything after that spot. And stomach acid is built mainly by the minerals in celery juice, lemon water, that kind of thing. Those are the important, getting those micro minerals from the lemon water and the celery juice.
Thank you.
Any benefit to drinking pickle juice? I'm not really sure. Don asked me that question. I'm not really sure about pickle juice. So I just think maybe just ask, is anybody doing anything kind of cool with their kids? Anybody here have kids? Are you doing cool things with your kids, or, you know, learning things or any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm a teacher, so we actually have to Zoom in with our kids. So this year I'm only assisting instead of teaching. So my role is limited. So the teachers are actually teaching through Zoom, and the assistants are asked to check in and Zoom in with their students more as a, you know, to connect with them.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. I don't have kids at home anymore, so I've been Zooming in with my friends who have children, and I have a lot of respect for them. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's challenging for sure.
But you know what, for anybody who has kids, I think Pinterest is a great place to go for ideas for arts and crafts and for a lot of things. So if they're looking for something like that, there's so many things. You can Google worksheets and Sudoku and all kinds of things. So yeah, everybody is. But for us, we're before a major holiday, and Janice will know it's Passover coming up, and which will be very challenging for our community. And we have to do a major cleaning before that. Yeah. So being at home just means I can space it out and not have to go crazy at the last minute. But not being with family is very difficult. So
always challenging, right? Yeah. For
yeah.
Sure. Let me see a couple other things coming in on the chat here. Learning French with my daughter. So from A to, I don't know who A is. Somebody's A. I'm not sure who that is. But so on my screen, I can kind of see I've unmuted a lot of people. So Liana, Sybil, Richard, hello, Julia, Winnie, Christine, Sharon, Marley, John, and A. I don't know who that is, but
there are 2 Sharons.
Yes. Hi, Sharon.
Marco, there's a question about zinc. Somebody asked zinc.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that again. So let me see if I can get the chat up again. Okay. So, hi, Dr. Mark. Is it beneficial to take extra zinc at this time? Absolutely. So, people talk about vitamin D, and that's really important and stuff like that. But zinc is almost one of the most important ones that people are missing right now. So, I think a lot of you got this thing that I sent out to you on that email. You downloaded it. But yeah, zinc is one of the more important ones because if we're totally missing zinc, your cells really start to fall apart. It has such a big impact for your immune system and stuff. And like I said, like the zinc shock therapy where you're taking the zinc and put it right down on let it sit on the tonsils. It tastes horrible, but it's done an amazing job a couple of times where I thought for sure the next day, like you can kind of tell sometimes, okay, sniffle nose, if I sleep on it, it might go away. But there was a couple of times where I was starting to get the achy joints and I was really starting to feel like a runny nose. And I said, okay, more for sure I'm going to be sick. And I just dropped it on both tonsils, let it sit there for about 2 or 3 minutes, and it tastes horrible. This is really horrible metallic kind of taste. But woke up the next day like nothing happened. So very important. Yes. So zinc sulfate is the kind you want to be looking for if you can, actually. John. There's John there. I don't know which John that is.
Where can you get the zinc sulfate?
Some health food stores have it. I ordered mine online. So I kind of try to get the ones that Anthony William recommends. There's a company called Vimergy.
What's it called?
You can get all this stuff. You can get most of it on Amazon.
Yeah, Leanna knows.
Liquid B12.
It's just a lot of stuff is sold out right now, or there's like long shipping delays.
Yeah, for sure, because everyone's panicking. Yeah, so those are the, try to go to a health food store. Some health food stores might have that possibly. And you know much about copper? My system is low. Yeah, copper is an interesting one because there's a lot of copper everywhere, and there's sort of like productive copper, non-productive copper, and people have kind of said that zinc and copper kind of conflict with each other and all sorts of things like that. So avocados are a good source of good copper, actually, and I'm trying to think of some other ones. None of the other ones are coming to me right now, but throwing in half an hour of avocado every so often wouldn't be a bad idea. I see Marley there. Marley, are you there? Or is that Nicola? So I'm going to go back to the chart. I want to see if anyone. So anyone else want to chime in some things you were doing with your kids? I'm kind of curious.
Well, our kids they live in a different part of Toronto, and they also live in New York.
Yeah.
And a couple times we've all gotten on like a Zoom type of thing like this. And it's so exciting. Everyone sees each other at one time. Yeah. We never really did that before.
Right.
We're discovering new ways to appreciate each other.
Yeah. And
I also want to mention that this type of communication that we're doing now, I've noticed with other classes that I've attended and stuff, there's some sort of a dynamic that's even more dynamic than a real classroom. Somehow I think like Marco, for example, you're right in front of me, you're all mine, somehow your attention is more, and then because your imagination knows there's other people and they're out there and you can't, it's somehow it's a very dynamic way of teaching that I don't feel even in a live, when you're there live. Maybe someone wants to comment about it, but to me it's special, something special about it.
Cool. Sharon, what do you think? Chris.
So I had to be in my self-quarantine because I'd come back from Florida and haven't seen my children or grandchildren, and the little ones are quite small. So what I've been doing is taking books I have here and reading to my 3-year-old online, FaceTime.
That's amazing. See, that's very cool. I love that.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. Marco, can I ask you about wine?
Wine?
Yes.
Sure.
All you want, Richie, all you want.
So, I mean, they say that wine has, is it, what's the word? I've been reading.
Resveratrol, yeah.
Yeah, right. I've been reading, it's an amazing book by the Harvard, the age doctor. What's his
Yes.
name? Sinclair is brilliant guy. That's amazing. Anyway, and how that, in wine is very good for, for healthy aging and that type of thing. But I just want your opinion on alcohol itself, right? In other words, is a little alcohol okay? Isn't like exercise can be too much, but a certain amount is right, and whereas alcohol is something from a health point of view. And how can you have wine, and grape juice? If you go to grape juice, there's sugar in it, right?
Right.
Anyway, that's all I'll ask, but that's my question.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit of a challenging one because just in general, I just, other than the brain, the second favorite organ in the body is the liver, right? And we just know that any kind of alcohol, regardless of the source, is usually damaging. But so there's a couple of problems with wine, just not necessarily the what it's made out of, but just like how can I say, just when we're going to fruits, there's certain fruits that we're calling the dirty dozen, right? So a lot of the grapes, it's very hard to find wines that haven't been sprayed with haven't been sprayed with herbicides and pesticides and that kind of stuff. So you're kind of getting that stuff with it. I know there's one or two wine companies that are like certified organic, and they've been tested for glyphosate, which you guys know is the herbicide that they spray on all the crops, also called Roundup, which is very, very damaging for everybody. And because I talked about that in one of my other videos about liver toxins and things like that. So one of the biggest challenges with wine, in the old days, it might have been great, nice and natural, and nothing sprayed on it now, but it's hard to kind of get it without that sort of payload coming in with that other damaging stuff. And as far as the resveratrol, I've heard a lot of different comments, people saying, well, you'd have to drink like, hundreds and hundreds of wine bottles a day to get the amount of resveratrol that it would be helpful for your body. I'm not really sure that's true or not, but I've just heard that. So I don't know that much about it. I know resveratrol is good, and the skin, if you're able to get like organic grapes and really dark grapes with the dark skin, those are the best ones to have the higher content of that. And so it's always kind of like, the fruit is better than the fruit juice usually, right? And because you're getting all the other stuff with it, sort of thing, the vitamins, the minerals, the complexes, the fiber, all that stuff kind of comes in with the whole thing. So the whole idea that sugars were bad for you, and well, not all sugars, if you're eating a fruit, it has all that other stuff complex with the fruit, and you're getting way much more nutrition and other benefits to it, and it's not spiking your blood sugar like it would if you're just having like just pure apple juice, which is just basically sugar water sort of thing, right? It's a very different scenario. And so wine for me personally, just because it kind of has that sort of concentrated aspect of it, and there's no fiber or anything coming in with it, and it's also concentrating probably some of the pesticides and herbicides, and it's also alcohol, which is damaging to the liver cells. I'm not that big on it, but that's just me. Sharon left. She said, "I gotta go. Thanks for touching base." Let's see. I'm gonna go back up and read some of the other questions. What's the best form of vitamin C to take? Christine is asking that. So there's a little bit of controversy because I follow a lot of different people, and some people say, ascorbic acid, they just use like the chemical ascorbic acid, and it's helped people come out of like, really bad, disastrous illnesses and stuff. And then we'll have other guys on the other side of the health food spectrum say, it has to be the whole, vitamin C, because there's 4 complexes that are all part of it, and it's a whole big thing. You need the whole thing. So hypothetically, it still works if you just take the chemical one. If you want to get more bang for your buck, the liposomal vitamin C, you get a lot more out of it. You can take a lot more of it. Because typically, if you're taking vitamin C, we say you can take it up to bowel tolerance. Like if you're really sick and you really want to load yourself with vitamin C, you'll start having diarrhea at a certain point. But you can do what we have in the office here. Well, we don't have any left, but we had the liposomal vitamin C. A liposome is a little fat, a super microscopic fat droplet that has the vitamin C molecule in it. And because it's in the fat droplet, your body can absorb it through the intestines really easily. And so you can get a really, really much higher dose of vitamin C in that liposomal form. And that's one of the better ones there. Thank you. Going back to work. Sorry, got to go. Thanks for touching base. When someone has a cough or respiratory irritation, should that person continue to exercise at their normal levels? Example, an hour-long workout. No, in that case, I wouldn't. I would, if you could, concentrate more on rebounding if you had a rebounder. So things that would cause that sort of vertical motion that could help expectorate some of that stuff. I would, if you had a cough or irritation, I would definitely go 100% plant-based. Just eat fruits and vegetables, and that's it, and try to limit your fat content for sure. And as far as the exercising, I wouldn't do an hour for sure. No, I would try to limit it down to like maybe like a 10 or 15-minute workout. All right, how are we doing for time? Not bad. Okay. Anybody else have any questions, or does anybody else want to share some things that they've been doing? So with me, you know, just taking time with my kid, obviously it's lots of fun there, you know, where we, like Dr. DeMartini in that video I sent out last week, you know, Panic or Poise video. We just, let's have a little whiteboard like this, and we'll just put about 6 items on the whiteboard to say, you know, healthy breakfast, you know, drawing for an hour, and then reading 20 pages, and then, you know, exercising outside, and then, you know, whatever. And then we all, there's fun stuff in there too, but we just kind of go through what we call the high priority action list, and we just, you know, strike them off. And if there's one left over from that day, that just goes on to the next day when we just redo the whiteboard for next day. So that thing's kind of fun.
I have a question. I don't know if I typed it, but I don't know if it's going to you.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, it seems to be back and forth on vitamin C and D, I think, and zinc. It's all very important, but what type of food or drink? In other words, I hear that there's the solubility, whether some is soluble in water, some is in, you know, more like a fat base. So does it, how important is it when you're taking C and D specifically, and what type of a base you're eating or drinking with?
Yeah, with the D's, like, you know, the home oil here in the office that we have, the Neuroperformance one has vitamin A and D with the omega-3. That's a really good delivery form. So I usually try to do them separately, right? So if you're doing like a fat-based vitamin and mineral, like A, D, E, and K are all the fat-soluble ones. So those are the ones you'd want to be doing either with like a fatty thing, like, you know, like some almond butter or something like that, or, you know, like a coconut oil or whatever, or this one is just coming in the oil itself, the omega-3s, right? So I would do those independently of each other, just because there's different enzymes in your stomach that kind of have to be activated to kind of digest them. So yeah, so the water soluble ones, those are all coming in your, mainly in your fruits and your vegetables and things like that. So if you're just taking like vitamin C, you know, obviously it would be droppers, like, you know, mine is liposomal, so it's just going under my tongue. So I'm just doing that independently of food, sort of, right? Does that answer your question?
I think so. In other words, like if I, in my bulletproof coffee in the morning, if I put in, I put in cocoa butter, and I'll put in some MTC oil. So then I'll put my vitamin D in that because it's like an oil base.
Yep.
In my water that I drink during the day, that's where I'll put my C and other things.
Correct,
So
right. Because a lot of times, you know,
right.
Sometimes there's like vitamin C powders that you just put in water and stir it up and that kind of thing. So all the water soluble ones, I do them independently, but that's, like you said, in the morning, that's a good time to get in the fat soluble ones if that's what you're doing. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna ask everybody a question. Let's see. So even though there's you know, there's a lot of bad stuff happening, and, you know, like, I don't want to get into the whole virus stuff and all that kind of thing, but just can somebody just give me like maybe 3 benefits that have come out of this situation for them in their life right now, or even 1 benefit? make it simple to start.
Time.
Time. Absolutely, right? How many of us have been saying, "Oh, I don't got time to do this, I don't got time to do that." There's a meme going around online for men saying, "I feel sad for all those guys that told their wives, well, I get to it when I have more time." Because there was that other one that kind of said something like, "Yeah, you told me you wanted to get that fixed. You don't have to keep reminding me every 4 months." Okay, so time is a big one for sure.
I think
Priorities,
Priorities. Okay, that's good.
like reevaluation of priorities. What's
Mhm.
important? What's really important?
Yeah, for sure. Because anytime a disaster like that hits, right, all of a sudden, oh, is whatever,
But it's scary that we have to wait until a disaster hits for us to reevaluate.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's always the thing. But it's just kind of like, once again, taking like the good and bad, right? So if you go back to 9/11, right, there's a lot of people that said, the I don't want to call it the mood, but just the attitude of New Yorkers was very like, F you, screw you, get off my side of the street, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as 9/11 happened, everyone was saying, how you doing, hanging out, you okay, that kind of thing. It just totally changed the dynamic of the vibe of the city. Because there's always that idea that New Yorkers, they're all, F you, buddy, that kind of thing, right? And that's sort of devastating. It's a really big reset. There's always that cyclical nature of everything in life. Everything in nature always has these cyclical kind of things, right? You get up to this, there's always like a pendulum shift back and forth with everything, basically. So that kind of thing, attitudes getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Everyone gets a big hit in the head, a big reset, and says, oh, okay, let's prioritize again. Where are we again? Oh yeah, humanity, we're supposed to connect with each other, that kind of thing. So the tough part of this one is that actually hugging people is a really good thing for your brain and how your endorphins and all that good stuff. So unfortunately, this time we're like bumping elbows or we're kicking feet or whatever people are doing, right? We're just connecting in a different way, but at least we are kind of connecting. And I know there's probably more connections being done now than haven't been. Like, for example, I called a buddy of mine in Italy that I hadn't seen maybe about 5 or 6 years when he used to live in Genoa. I called him on the video phone and he said, I was just thinking about you. And we had this big long conversation, which is good, right? So
I kind of visualize it that the whole world and everyone has been like really going in the wrong direction a little bit, right? Maybe not majorly. So God says to himself, how can I fix this? How can I, in one fell swoop? I don't want a war. I don't want anything,
yeah.
I don't want major, right? But it's like he took the world and shook it up just enough where everyone is being the priorities by everyone. So it's all for good, whatever it is. It's all for good somehow.
Yeah, in the end it will be, yeah, for sure. And Ross, Sybil, Christine, Julia. Julia hasn't piped in once yet. I'm just looking at Julia. John, I think everyone's unmuted. I can see your names. If I can see your names, it means you should be able to talk.
I think that we tend to take a lot for granted, and it sort of makes us realize that we really should take a lot for granted. Just like going to the grocery store, we have to be careful what time we go, how far away we're going to be from the next person. I think that's a real shake-up for me.
For sure.
I think that, it's a real, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I feel as though I'm a real control freak. So this is the first time I can see I'm not in control. There's a higher power out there.
Yeah.
Control of everything. It's not in my hands.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Rebecca, what other exercises before we finish? What other exercises can we be doing? And I think we should all have rebounders now. Uh-oh, it's too late.
Yeah, you guys know I'm big on the rebounder, right? Because it doesn't take up a lot of space and it does a lot of benefits for your body, right? So
yeah.
So exercises, there's a couple of things. So So one thing I want people to think about, can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so shoulders and hips, we want those to be kind of able to be kind of over top of each other and be in good motion. So there's a thing with your arms up to the sides. I'm just going to, so this thumb is pointing forward. So just doing arm circles like this, starting in small circles like this, and then slowly increasing the size of the circle like that. when you start to get it pretty big, you should feel like your ribs and your chest are actually kind of moving with that too. So this helps for the mobility of the shoulders here and also over top of the hip. So you're pointing your thumbs forward first, and you're doing the circle forward this way. Slowly increasing the diameter of the circle, and then you're going to flip your thumbs over and then do it again, but go backwards. And then do the same thing and keep increasing the size of the circle like that. Okay, so that's one. And the other one, this is a health video I sent in quite a while ago too. So your hands are like this with your thumbs at your sides pointing away from you. And what you're going to be doing is just bringing your arms up over top of your head like this. You're going to touch them together at the top, and you're going to try to extend your body. So you're trying to push your fingers up towards the ceiling a little bit more, and then bring it back down. And so your thumbs are always pointing forward like this. This is the plane of the motion like this. So those are just two pretty simple ones, but they're just good for keeping like upper body mobility and keeping the connection between your shoulders should be nice and free over top of your hips. Make sure your feet are pointing forward when you do both of those exercises, about a shoulder width apart. Those are some good ones like that. And then the other one for your neck, because everyone's probably doing this right now. So the big one for maintaining the curve in your neck. So the curve in your neck is super important. And I don't have my spine here. Got to bring in my spine. But anyway, the neck should have like a curve like this. The bone should be curved like almost everybody's doing that, and their heads are going forward, and it's not very good for your brain and everything else. So this is one of the most important ones you can do. It's called rotation is what developed that curve in your neck, your head turning. So when you're little babies, you put them face down, they're supposed to do tummy time because it keeps their head turned, and then they start to work their muscles to lift up their head. So you gotta you have to do that motion yourself. So the motion was this: you have your thumb, your nose is stuck to your thumb in that like this, and you move your hand up, and you go back to the corners of the room like this. So your head is going, it's not just turning, it's going back towards the corner of the room. So one of my patients, she did this pretty vigorously, and she had a bit of a shoulder problem, and she had like a shoulder problem that got worse. So you have to be careful if your shoulders hurt or they really bug you, don't force it. You can just do it with your head. But ideally, this will involve the whole opening up the whole upper chest cavity and bringing this whole part back. So you're not rotating it, you're keeping it steady. But so if you can see here, so just like this. Going up towards the corner of the room, coming back. So you could do like, I just mix it up. I'll do like 3 on one side and then go do a couple on the other side. Sort of, number do it. So just like, in the end, do like 10 to each side, however you want to mix it up like that, and do it a number of times a day as a set of maybe like 10 each side. Those are some of the bigger ones. And then the other one I just mentioned was just deep squats, right? So I don't know if you you just shoulder width apart like this, put down like that. You bring your arms out in front of you, just counterbalance you like this. That's when so inhale on the way down and breathe out on the way up. Just a little combination of doing those things every day would be great for everybody. Is that helpful?
Amazing. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to see. There's a few people that didn't chime in. I don't know if they're just shy or I didn't unmute them properly. Let's see. So there's Marley. I'm trying to unmute her, but I can't get her to unmute. Marley, can you hear me? Or I can't see her. And then Julia is another one. I've tried to get Julia to talk to. John? All right, that's good. So basically what's going to happen is as far as the office and things like that, still really don't know. Like the College of Chiropractors didn't give us a time frame for how long we're supposed to be closed. So I just said 2 weeks, but it's in my mind. I bet you it's going to be longer than that. I just have the feeling it will be. So, I am allowed to kind of hypothetically see people who are in acute situations who've hurt themselves, or the other category is somebody who has like a chronic condition that I kind of see regularly. And if I don't see them regularly, that chronic condition starts to get worse fairly quickly. So I got Janice to come and we kind of printed out a list of people that I've been seeing regularly, and I'm kind of trying to pinpoint who those people might be. And then maybe if they want to come in, we'll try to just do like, just stagger the at times and just have 1 or 2 people at a time so they can be distance from the, each other in the office. There's 2 people in the room or something like that. We'll try to figure that stuff out in the future. And then if it goes on for months and months and months, I'm probably going to start doing paid webinars or something. So, maybe I'll just do webinars on stress, and, some of the workshops I would have done on my office, I would have just put them online and maybe start doing them as a paid thing just to kind of keep the income going. I'm not really sure, but those are some of the options I'm thinking about right now. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll keep things rolling at that point, but I want to stay connected with everybody for sure. So if anybody else has any comments?
Thank you so much. So appreciated.
Everyone else there? Christine, hello, goodbye.
Bye, and thank you.
All right, Janice, thank you. Thanks everyone for showing up.
Thank you, Dr. Marco.
Thank you, Dr. Marco.
So I still got a few health tips and things that I filmed, and an old webinar I did on posture. I've just divided that up into a few little segments, so I'll just put those out as the health tips for the next few weeks and that kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes. So thanks everyone for participating. One more chat, let's see. Very helpful, thank you, Donna. Okay, so thanks everyone. So I think we can sign off right now and we'll be in touch. And it was good sort of seeing everybody. So next time I think I know if I make it a meeting, this is a webinar, but if I make it a meeting, then I think I can see everybody. So.
And you can see everybody. That's more fun.
Yeah, exactly. I want it to look like the what's the word?
Hollywood Squares.
Like the Partridge, the Brady Bunch, but Hollywood.
Marco, maybe you can do this on a regular basis, once a week or something like that.
Maybe.
Once every 2 weeks. I mean, hopefully it'll be over soon. But.
Would everybody be into that? I don't know if we get sick.
Yeah, well, for
Yeah,
sure.
next week.
So let's see.
Wow.
Huh.
And also,
All right.
if we have a week to prepare, then maybe we can get other people to come on. And we only knew about this 2 days ago, I think.
True.
You know, this is great because I don't have to put out any snacks.
Very true.